Um, yeah, so it's Tuesday. It's not Wednesday, obviously. I'm going on a little trip. Did you guys like that new little lower third that I did? I'm gonna play around with some of the different effects. I just need to figure out how best to do it. Uh, the program I used to make that. Let me show that again real quick. Is it going to come up? Hold on a second. There it is. The program I used to make that is called. Where is it? Animationist. Animationist. It's over on the Mac App Store. Um, don't remember how much it was. It's got a couple of limitations. I can do like a movie file, which is fine, but it's really hard to get rid of the background. Or I can do it as what you guys just saw, as an animated GIF. So for now, I've gone ahead and chosen it as the animated GIF, and I will figure out a different way to do it. I can do these kinds of things if I go into Adobe Premiere Elements. That'll let me do it there too. Um, but I was really hoping that it would just let me do it and export it in such a fashion that I could use it without the background. And it is quite possible that I just wasn't using it right. But the big reason why I'm doing this show tonight instead of tomorrow night is because tomorrow through Sunday, my wife and I were going out of town. We're going to be in North Carolina. It's a family reunion for her side of the family. They've been doing this every single year for, oh God, much longer than she and I have been married. And it's like I know you guys probably have no idea where it is I'm talking about. It's in the Irwin Dunn area, which used to be known as the denim capital of the world before that moved to someplace else. Um, it's a nice area. There's a lot of history in that area. My wife bought her 1972 Volkswagen Beetle not far from there in Littlington, North Carolina. Um, nice car. And the guy it's East Coast Classic Cars. If you look that up, you'll be able to see all the cars that this guy has, which is just incredible. But that's neither here nor there. We have a lot of stuff to talk about tonight, and I'm going to do things a little bit different. And it doesn't work in an audio podcast, but it should work since this is a video. And besides the topic that I'm going to talk about, which is the WannaCry insanity that's going on right now, I've got my portable podcasting setup, and I'm going to show you all the pieces that's in there. I'm going to show you that tonight. And this is what I take with me when I go out. Now, with this setup, I have the choice of either using some various pieces and doing it all through iOS, or I've got my, I think it's a 2012 MacBook Pro 15-inch that I can do it from there as well. And I've got the capability actually to go completely without power, without having anything connected to power. I've got a small little device from IK Multimedia, the Pro Duo 2, which has two XLR inputs. I'll show you all that stuff in a little bit. But the big news for this week is the immense ransomware that's going on. It's called WannaCry, which is currently targeting Windows computers through an exploit that Microsoft patched, I think, back in March. Unfortunately, because of the nature of Windows computers, and this, I'm trying to do this in such a way that it doesn't sound like I'm slamming Windows, because as much as I would like to point the finger and say, ha ha, Microsoft, this, while the exploit was definitely in Windows, to Microsoft's credit, they did patch it. Unfortunately, because of how many companies, the way they use Windows is typically they have a lot of legacy software. And before they roll out all these patches and security updates that Microsoft puts out, they have to make sure that their legacy software, which of course they depend on in order to run their business, is still going to work. It doesn't do them any good to have up-to-date Windows computers if it's going to break their software. So a lot of the computers that have been hit by WannaCry, this ransomware, had never been patched for reasons XYZ, like I was just talking about. And it's serious because it's not just individuals that suddenly had their all their data files encrypted with a ransom note of $300 in Bitcoin or $600 US. And I don't know how they were going to get the US and not get it tracked back to them. But it's also been hospitals. There's been a number of hospitals in the United Kingdom that have been hit by this. They've had to cancel surgeries. They've had to do a lot of things that really put people's lives in danger. There's been several factories, car manufacturers that have had to basically shut down their computers to try to stop the spread of it throughout the rest of their network. So I guess we should first talk about what WannaCry is. First off, it isn't really a virus per se, but malware. It's the typical infect yourself kind, but with kind of a twist. As is happening more and more, the people that have been infected by this are sent an email, it has an attachment, and when you double click, it installs the malware on the computer that you've double clicked on, and it's basically it's using a vulnerability on Windows from an SMB server message block protocol that, as I said earlier, Microsoft had patched in Windows 10 last month. But what makes it worse is that after the installation, if your computer is networked with other computers, it looks for computers on that same network that don't have the ability to defend themselves against this. And that's basically, so in that particular way, it's actually acting like a virus. It's installed like malware, but then it acts like a virus. Now, unfortunately, many companies and government systems that aren't automatically patched will these are the computers that are getting hit. And also older versions of Windows that outside of Windows Vista and 10, oddly enough, those were the two that they patched, had never gotten the update that would allow or would have stopped this from happening. And again, to Microsoft's credit, they did patch this a couple of months ago. Now, where it starts to get weird, not that it isn't already weird, it's been reported that the exploit was originally either developed or purchased by the U.S. National Security Agency, and that the exploit had been leaked or stolen by a hacker group called the Shadow Brokers. The initial version had a kill switch, which prevented it from doing any damage. There was I can't remember his name now. There was a guy who actually found this, and it stopped the initial outbreak of WannaCry. But since then, the Shadow Brokers, or whoever it is that is behind all this, has released newer versions that don't have this kill switch, which leads me to believe that even if you were foolish enough to pay the ransom for a decryption key, it may not work. You may not get anything back. As a matter of fact, authorities have basically said that, don't pay the ransom because there's no guarantee that you're still going to get your data back. Now, we're on Macs, and right now this particular exploit doesn't affect us. That doesn't mean that we are invulnerable to these kinds of exploits. It's certainly there have been this has been the year for Mac exploit. And again, these aren't viruses. This isn't something that you go to a website or that the innocent stuff that you typically do and get infected by this. You have to open an attachment. You have to double click it. Probably 99 times out of 100, the way these things are set up, you would then have to enter your password in order for the payload to install itself. So this kind of thing, without an act of colossal stupidity from a Mac user, you're reasonably safe from for now. It does not mean that these things can't happen to us. It doesn't mean that it won't happen to us. So be very, very careful, online when you talk about, haha, Windows has WannaCry and I'm a Mac user, so I'm okay with it. Number one, it makes you kind of a dick for saying something like that. Number two, when these kinds of exploits do hit the Mac, and there's an excellent chance that sooner or later someone will come up with a way for this to affect Macs. Don't be surprised when the finger's pointed back at you and haha, you're on a Mac and you still got caught with it. Over here in the chat room, we have Warren Sklar and we have Brian Monroe. And let's see. When I was first starting out, for people who are watching this later, because I think it's just Warren and Brian at the moment. If the I just lost my whole place. I was having trouble with speaking. No, I was having trouble getting a way to monitor what it is that I'm doing live on Facebook. And by live, I mean a 10-second delay. Every time I tried to do it, it wasn't coming up. But according to what I'm seeing, I am still live. So good for me. It looks like whatever it is I'm doing is working. I'm still using OBS. It seems to take up the least amount of CPU and have an interface that is the best so far of most of the other programs I've used. And that's not to say that these aren't good programs as well. I mean, for a long time being relative, I was using just Broadcaster for Facebook, and it had its quirks, but it worked reasonably well. There was a new one from Ecamm that I've been kind of playing around with, though I'm not really thrilled with the interface. It's not easy to move from like one part of what it is that you want to show from your computer to another part. So I don't think until that product is a little more mature, I'm probably not going to use it. And of course, the granddaddy Wirecast, very, very expensive program, but it just kind of, the interface, I just didn't like it. It was too hard to, and it did some amazing things. You had, multiple tracks that you could put stuff on and just throw out there with a click of a button. And it would probably work best if you had somebody else controlling everything, while the, content deliverers were basically just speaking or doing whatever. But for a one-man show like I am right here, it just wasn't really what I was looking for. Let's see. Brian Monroe says, yep, do not pay the ransom. Just roll your files back from a good working backup, which is an excellent point. We're at, even with SSDs, which SSDs are great. They're super fast. However, you probably shouldn't use SSDs for your backup because there's really no point in it. You can get huge spindle drives to do backups, and it'll hold everything. I can't show it to you, but I've got a Drobo up here with 4 terabyte drives in it that I use it for Time Machine. I use it for Carbon Copy Cloner, and I'm basically backing up everything that I have on this Mac Pro all the way over to the Drobo, doing it through my network. It's just easy, and Carbon Copy Cloner makes it super easy as well. You can set up your backups to happen at 1-2 o'clock in the morning, where you're asleep or whatever, you're not using your computer. Well, just Carbon Copy Cloner will fire itself up, do incremental backups, and just back up the stuff that has changed since the last time you did a backup, and then shut itself back off again. I do backups for my iTunes library, which is like over 2 terabytes. I do backups for all of my documents, as well as having all my documents in iCloud, and my application drive, which I have on an SSD, and basically everything. I've got 4 drives connected in this computer. It's all being backed up through Carbon Copy Cloner to the Drobo. I also use Backblaze for like an offsite backup, and that's actually a pretty good service. It's like $99 a year, and let's say the absolute worst happens and your house burns down. Well, you can contact them, and they will send you, at a cost, of course, a disk drive or disks drive, depending on how much stuff you have backed up, with all your stuff on it. And then you can just take that backup and shoot it right over. I think that is going to do it for this particular section. When I come back, I'm going to go through all of the stuff I have in my mobile podcasting backpack. I'll show you all that stuff, and anything else that happens to catch my eye. So everyone, please stand by. I'm kind of ripping that off from my other podcast, the My Mac Podcast, which you can find at mymac.com and also on iTunes, where I do it with Gazmaz every single week. And we will be right back.
Everybody, please stand by. And, we'll be right back.
And welcome everyone back to the mymac.com podcast.
All right, so let's carry on. But
I'm still laughing about something that happened just before we started recording, and we're going to talk about that right now.
I don't know if you heard, Guy, but Sal's going. Did you know that?
Yeah, I heard that. He's leaving Apple. It's a tragedy for everybody.
Oh dear, this is not going well, is it? We are so childish.
We are.
Really are.
It's the G-Men on the mymac.com podcast. Okay, and we are back. Like I said, I'm going to show you all of the stuff that I've got in my mobile kit, and just this is a heavy thing. This is the backpack, and I don't even know who makes this backpack. Case Logic, maybe. I don't know. It's a great backpack. I mean, it just holds so much stuff. And we'll start with the relatively big pieces, and we will start off with this. This is my 2012 MacBook Pro. I actually need to update it. I haven't updated. We had all the big OS updates day before yesterday, and I've done my phone. I did my iPad. I did my Mac Pro, I did my watch, and why, for the love of God, does it take so friggin' long to update the Apple Watch? I mean, it's such a little device. The OS for it can't be that big, but neither here nor there. So here's, whoops, there we go. So here's my 15-inch MacBook Pro. I've got a little, I don't even know what you call it. It's a little rubbery kind of keyboard cover for it. Keeps, all the dirt and grime on my fingers away from it. But this has got I think I got a 500 gig SSD in this. 8 gigs of RAM. I'll probably update it to 16 relatively soon. Probably one of the last real updatable MacBook Pros. Let's see. Brian says it takes so long to update the Watch OS because it is doing it wirelessly. Well, that's true. However, I did my iPad wirelessly because I was doing the update on my phone, connected up directly to the computer, and it was done in 20 minutes. Watch took well over. Well, I actually wasn't down here because I eventually, I was going to bed. It was like, you know what, you'll be updated when I get up in the morning and come back down, and it was. So, over here now, I don't have this in my this backpack yet because this little bag here is like my everyday bag that I go to work in. But this is my 12.9 inch first gen iPad Pro, 128 gigs of storage. Works great. I was basically doing podcasts before with a third gen iPad, and that worked out really well too. As we go into some of the other, I got all kinds of things going on. Okay, well, there's my power charge. This is kind of a cool. Can't remember who makes this. I think this was made by Quirky, and it basically holds your power brick and all the cabling that goes with it on the inside. So it kind of keeps it all organized and it doesn't take up nearly as much room. So I kind of like that. Now we go to, I don't even know if I got anything in this one. Let's see. Oh yeah. I've got a little portable Bluetooth mouse, a little USB hub, a stylus. Though I've got a couple of styluses, but I don't really use them. I think some of them just came with stuff, or maybe I got stuff at various press functions. Don't know. All right. Now, I'm going to show you the headphones that I use when I'm on the road. Please don't judge. The reason why I chose these headphones is that, it's not the greatest sound, but they're very portable, and I can carry 2 of them in this little case. And it, portability is a big thing. And they are the JVC, I want to say HV105s or something. I mean, they're really not that big of a deal, but very portable, very tiny, over the ear headphones. So it helps block out, not a whole lot of noise, but it helps block out some of them. So I got 2 of those. And I also have, if I want to go, and I had room in the case, so I said, oh, why the hell not? Some Sony headphones. These are even more portable than probably the JVCs, but they also cost a lot more. So there's my headphones, and they all fit in this little case here, barely. All right. Now we're going to go into main compartment number 2. And I carry 2 different microphones. They're both the Audio Technica 2100 USBs, which are for podcasting. Great microphones. And the best part of these microphones is that not only is it a USB microphone, which means you can hook it up directly to an iPhone, you can hook it up directly to an iPad. It also has XLR, and I don't know if you can see it. You see that little round hole there? You can monitor not only your audio as you're speaking into the microphone, but you can listen to other people's audio directly through this headphone jack. So I've got two of these. These are the Audio Technica 2100 USB microphones. They're like $55, $60 on Amazon. Terrific mics. And again, both XLR and USB. Now, another good thing about these microphones is that when you buy them, Audio Technica includes both a USB cable and an XLR cable. And they also include, it's crappy. It's this little tiny desktop microphone stand. Really crappy. Didn't like it. So decided to do something else. And what I got instead was this. This is a headphone stand. It basically collapses down. Let me collapse this all the way down. It collapses down to very, very small. So not bad. But when you open it up, whoops, it's not letting me. Oh, there we go. You can open it up, and it's going to be kind of hard to show here, but it gives you a nice flat surface with all three arms sticking out for you to put that on. And then you connect up the standard little microphone, if I think it's a 5/8 screw onto the very top. And also you can extend it up even higher with this little mounting screw here. I'm going to turn it, and it just disappeared down into it like magic. So you can set up your microphone to where, it's standing up. It's standing up pretty high. Let me get, I know I got it here someplace. Bear with me a moment here, guys. Sometimes I just got too much stuff for my own good. I'm going to do a real quick little setup here. So here's the microphone holder. And you guys already saw how the bottom part is flat and that you can extend this up to where it's even higher. And then you take your microphone. My audio is probably kicking in and off here as I keep moving away from my current live microphone. So let me show you what it looks like. This is just fascinating, isn't it? So here you go. Here's the whole thing. USB microphone attached to this. And it stands up probably about a foot above wherever you place it down. So I really like this. And I have two of these microphones. I have two of these stands. And depending on if I'm just doing a podcast by myself, I would probably just use the USB output on the microphone directly into an iPhone or an iPad. But which is really more typical, if I have myself and one other person, or myself and a person over Skype, yes, I can do Skype over iOS. As a matter of fact, my co-host over on the My Mac podcast, Gazmaz, and we're going to try a little experiment when I go to Florida next month. There won't be a show, by the way. whatever the Wednesday is after June 17th, because I will be down in Florida having lots and lots of fun. But I will explain, as soon as I get all this other stuff put away, how I can record a podcast over Skype using iOS devices. Now, you'd probably, for people that don't understand how this stuff works, you're probably thinking, well, what's the big deal? It's just Skype. Well, the iOS version of Skype, you can't take the audio that, from someone speaking to you, you can't take that audio and move it anywhere in iOS. So you have to basically use two devices. So what I do is I call whoever it is that I'm going to talk to via my iPhone. And then I take the audio out from my iPhone, plug that either into the mixer or the audio interface I'm going to show you in a second. And then my microphone and the Skype audio from my iPhone going into this little audio interface then feeds into my iPad. And whoever it is that's on the other end of Skype isn't hearing me on the microphone. They're hearing me through the microphone that's on the iPhone. So that's how that works. Now, for real portability, and I mean truly, truly portable, with nothing connected up to AC power, this is the device that I was talking about. This is an IK Multimedia iRig Pro Duo. And here on the bottom, it's got two XLR ports. I can, on this side, now the one thing I don't like about this, I don't know if you can see this. See this little port right here that I have my finger on? That takes a special cable. And the cables, and they include the cables with it. They have a cable for a lightning port. They have a cable for micro USB, and they have a cable for regular USB. And that's the only way to get audio out from this into something else. And I wish instead of doing that, they had just gone with micro USB or some other kind of audio port that you could use to connect to other devices. But this is battery powered, so I don't have to have it plugged in. However, if I am near power, for it, I have this little transformer that plugs in directly to it, so I don't have to rely on battery power if I don't want to. Let me show you some of these cables that came with it. Where's the lightning one? Here's the lightning one. I've got one. I mean, one's USB, one's micro USB. This is the lightning one. So you can see there's the cable that plugs into the little Pro Duo, and then it's lightning out. Great, great little audio interface for people that are interested in podcasting on the go. So, all right, get all this crap put away. I've got another thing that I want to show you that I guess there's really no reason why I would take this other device along with the iRig Pro Duo. I think mostly just because I can. So, is that everything? Yeah, I think that's, put the other microphone away. So inside of that backpack I showed you earlier, I also have this case. Now inside of this case, it's got two separate compartments. This is more or less all the different types of cables that I might need while I'm on the road. You can see there's a bunch that have lightning ports on them so I can connect them up. Got one here that's USB. I have one here it's got USB plus another lightning cable for charging. And one that's USB and HDMI if I want to output from the iPad to like a TV set or something along those lines. And then, of course, I got a bunch of different little audio cables here. Some are TRS 1/8 and 1/4 inch, or 3.5 and 6.25 millimeter for you metric people out there. And then here on the other side, I've got a Lightning to SVGA because some devices just don't have anything but that. I've got this. This is Lightning port here, USB here. Ooh, it's like magic. But then it it just kind of wiggles and wobbles, and like a weeble, it doesn't fall down. So that's kind of handy. I'm looking through this. I've got a ton of Lightning cables. I should never have to buy another Lightning cable. And okay, this cable here, this is your USB to USB B connector. And the reason why I need that cable, I'm going to show you here in just a second, is that besides having that little IK multimedia device, I also have this. This is an Alesis Multimix 4 USB mixer. If I know that I'm going to have power, and I'm not having to truly go portable, I'll typically use this instead. It's just easier to manipulate. It's got an EQ built into it. It's got panning built into it. I mean, all the stuff you would typically see on a small mixer. So that is like all the stuff that I carry. And let me tell you something. When well, it's even worse now. I haven't flown. I guess I haven't flown since last year's Max stock. But every time I'm trying to go through TSA, and I put this backpack on the belt, as soon as it goes through, whoever it is that's doing the X-ray, just like you can see that the whole belt just like stops dead. And then, they just kind of look at me, and I just kind of smile back at them. It's like, yeah, I know you're gonna want to take all this stuff out and look at it, and that's fine because God knows I probably look dangerous. I might be dangerous. So that's all the stuff that I carry for when I'm mobile and I know that I'm going to be doing podcasts. And when for the trip that I'm taking to North Carolina, I'm not going to take all this stuff. I'm not going to be doing podcasts while I'm down there. So I'll take my iPad, and I'll take a few other things. One thing that I do carry in there that I didn't show you tonight, mostly because I currently have it charging. It's a Seagate 2 terabyte drive that has built-in Wi-Fi. Now, the cool thing about this is with the iOS app that comes with it, not just me on my iPad. Yeah, sure, I can stream video and audio and documents and whatever it is that I put on this thing from the device through Wi-Fi, because it makes its own Wi-Fi right into the iPad. But so can like 2 or 3 other people all at the same time. So you're driving someplace with your family, and Johnny wants to watch SpongeBob, and Carrie wants to watch something else, and your wife wants to watch this or that. Well, everyone can watch whatever they want. It was granted as long as it's on the drive. And I just thought that was just a cool little device. I did a review for it over at mymac.com, and I was so impressed that I contacted Seagate and said, I don't want to send this back. Let me pay for it. And, they gave me a nice discount. So sure, why not? And I've had it for a while. And the only thing that it doesn't do that it used to do, and it was mostly because Apple changed the way that iTunes content works. You used to be able to take it from that drive onto your iPad and then AirPlay it over to like an Apple TV or something like that. Well, they've changed it and you can't do that anymore. And what are you going to do? I I still get a lot of use out of the device, and it will definitely come in handy when I'm going down to Florida. Now, I told you earlier, and I'm going to end the show in just a minute. While I'm on my way to Florida, and I don't know if I've talked about this here or not, while I'm on my way to Florida, what I'm going to attempt to do is record a podcast while driving down I-95 and include a Skype element on it. Now, it would be a piece of cake to have a microphone attached to one of the devices that I have and record that, or even record myself and another person in the car. It's not that big a deal. But using the method that I talked about earlier, where I've got my iPhone connected up to Skype, I'm going to try to record the MyMac podcast while barreling down the highway in I-95 on my way to Florida. And I just have to set up the appropriate time to record with Gaz. Gaz being in the UK, of course, he is 5 hours ahead of us here on the East Coast. So if it's 1:00 in the afternoon for me, it's 6:00 in the evening for him, and vice versa, all the way up and down the time scale. So we have to figure out a way or set up a time ahead of time in order to be able to do this. And we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it works out. I'm kind of looking forward to it, even if it blows up in my face. It's the worst that would happen is that there wouldn't be a MyMac podcast for that week. And could that be such a bad thing? It depends if whether or not you like the MyMac show. Anyway, I think that is going to do it for this evening. Thank you all so very, very much for joining me tonight, or if you're watching it later. I do appreciate it. Actually, a couple quick things before I go. July 15th and 16th, Woodstock, Illinois. It's going to be the MacStock Conference and Expo. This is the third year for the MacStock Conference and Expo. I've gone to the first two. As a matter of fact, I was the leadoff speaker the very first year of the show, and first year. And I went last year, and it's just gotten better and better and better. This is 2 full solid days of good times, getting to know people that do a lot with their Macs. And one of the cool things about this conference is that each speaker only has about 20 minutes for their talk. So if, for example, someone's talking about routers and you're not interested in routers, well, you get up, go to the bathroom, get a drink of water, get a soda, whatever, come back, there's going to be a new speaker there. So, it's snappy. It goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. 2 full days. They provide lunch on both days. You'll get a t-shirt. You'll get a coffee mug. If you get the premium package, which will include Barry Fox, Midwest Mac Mingle, which is going to be on July 15th. That's Saturday night. And that's going to be actually in Woodstock, because they hold the conference at this community college, McHenry Community College, which is really kind of in Crystal Lake. But he has gotten a hold of a facility in Woodstock itself, and there's going to be drinks. There's going to be like finger food, hors d'oeuvres, things like that. It's going to have a live band. All the people that were speaking that day and that will be speaking the next day are going to be there for the whole kit and caboodle. 2 full solid days of fun, $199. There's plenty of places to stay in the Woodstock area. easy to get to. It's about an hour outside of Chicago. So whether you hit O'Hare or Midway, real easy to get to. If you can do it, and check out macstockconferenceandexpo.com, or really just macstockexpo.com for more information on the conference. If you can go, you don't want to miss it. It's really going to be a good time. So, oh, and if you'd like to save a little bit, I can actually right now, I'll tell you how to save $30 off of that $199 price. Use the code on checkout, MyMac30OFF, MYMAC 30OFF. That will get you an additional $30 off the premium ticket. It'll get you $30 off the standard ticket, which is basically the 2 full days of the conference without the Mac Mingle. Though why you wouldn't want to do the Mac Mingle, I don't know. Then there's also a single day ticket for I think it's about $100, 90 to $100. And that's good for either Saturday or Sunday. But don't miss the Macstock Conference and Expo. And Brian says, yeah, Dave Hamilton, I believe he's going to be there this year. He went the first year. I don't think he was able to make it last year. But if you go to their website, you can see who all the speakers are going to be. Tim Robertson, owner of MyMac.com, creator of the MyMac podcast, also the current host of TechFan with David Cohen. He and I are going to do the MyMac quiz, which we have done on the main stage at the Macworld Expo. And it's just been such a blast every time we've done that. We've got prizes from Mac Alley. We've got prizes from a company called Softorino, which has the Walter 2 app, which helps you get content on and off your iOS devices. And oh God, there's a couple other companies as well, and I'm kind of blanking on who they are off the top of my head. But we're going to just be giving this stuff away. All you have to do is answer a couple of questions. And chances are, even if you can't answer the questions, we'll give you something anyway, because we'll have, I think, 40 to 50 minutes for the entire quiz. So, and we've got a ton of stuff. So yeah, we're going to be doing our level best to give you this stuff. Anyway, I think that, I swear to God, that's going to do it for this evening. Thank you all for joining me tonight or whenever it is that you watch this. And we'll see you next time.